Alright, we're ready for questions 12 through 20. Um, Question number 12 is dealing with a mid-segment again, but this is a triangle. So, like we said, the mid-segment is equal to half of the bases. And for a triangle, it's only got one base, so it makes it real easy. Um, so we would say the mid-segment is 2x, and it's equal to half of your base. Your base is 100, so 2x equals 100 over 2. So 2x equals 100 over 2 is 50. 2x equals 50. That means x is 25. Alright. You can plug it in there and double check. 2 times 25, that's 50. And that is half of 100. So good stuff. Same way. Mid-segment equal to half of the bases. The base over 2. So mid-segment's 44 here, and it's equal to 3x plus 10 divided by 2. So let's change colors so we can see what we're doing. Oops. Let's get some red. Okay, so we need to solve this equation to figure out what that x is going to be. So let's get rid of that 2 down there by multiplying everything by 2. So 2 times 44, 88 equals 3x plus 10. So 78 equals 3x, and x equals 26. Bam! Okay, let's check the ones that are congruent. So the base angles of an isosceles triangle, well, we've already talked about those, they are congruent. Corresponding angles of parallel lines. Corresponding angles, yep, they're definitely congruent. The diagonals of a rectangle, well, guess what? They're also congruent. That's terrible. Oh well. Well, they're definitely congruent. There's your diagonals. Diagonals of an isosceles trapezoid. Hey, those are also congruent. Vertical angles. Congruent. Linear pairs, no, not congruent. Alternate interior angles, guess what? They're congruent. Opposite angles of a parallelogram. We've already talked about that. They are congruent. And consecutive angles of a parallelogram. No, those are not congruent either. So F and I were not congruent. Check the ones that are supplementary. So this should be pretty easy. It's the ones that we just went through. So we know F, linear pair, so angle 1 and angle 2 there. And yeah, they would be supplementary. And then the consecutive angles of a parallelogram would also be supplementary. Don't forget, supplementary means equal to 180 degrees. Okay. Alright, so we are saying what these angles, what their relationship is. So angle 1 and 2, well, they are right next to each other. They're adjacent and supplementary, so we would say that they are a linear pair. 5 and 8, well, look at that. They're opposite of each other, and they are vertical angles, G. 5 and 4, well, they're both interior angles, and they're opposite the transversal, so we would call them alternate interior. So that's going to be A. 3 and 5, well, they're on the same side of the transversal, and they're interior, so we'd call them same side interior, but I think they call them consecutive interior here, so D, consecutive interior. Same thing as same side interior. 1 and 8, both exterior, and they're on opposite sides of the transversal, so we'll call them alternate exterior. 2 and 6, one is exterior, the other is interior, but they're both in similar positions for their group of angles. 2's in the top right, 6 in the top right, so we call those corresponding angles. And 2 and 8. 2 and 8 are both exterior and on the same side, so we'll call them consecutive interior, E. Regular pentagon has a perimeter of 300. What is the length of one side? Alright, let's think about a pentagon, a regular pentagon. This is not going to be perfectly regular, but it'll do. So we know a pentagon's got 5 sides, and if it's regular, then we know each side is the same. So we'll just call it x. So if I want to find the perimeter of that pentagon, I'll just take x and multiply it by 5 for each side. Well, because there's 5 sides. So the perimeter would equal 5 times the length of the side, x. But we don't know x, but we do know the perimeter is 300. So I could say the perimeter is 300, and it's equal to 5x. So divide it, and x equals 60. So each side is going to be 60. If you want to double check, if you want to add it up, 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60 will give you 300. So it's all good. Find the distance between the 2 points. So for this one, you're going to have to use your reference sheet and use your distance formula. So that should be d equals the square root of, should be x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. Alright, so let's label these x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to have negative 5 minus 15 squared plus 6 minus 27 squared. So we'll have, that's going to give you negative 20, and that's going to give us negative 21. So negative 20 squared should be 400, and negative 21 squared is going to be 441. So it's the square root of 841. That doesn't mean 841 is your answer, so don't stop there. You have to square root it. And when you square root it on your calculators, or in your head if you're awesome, you get 29. Bam! Okay, number 18. I told you guys centroids are going to be super important. If you remember the segments that the centroid forms, it forms a little segment and a big segment, and there's the whole thing. But you can always use these formulas. You can say the little segment is equal to 1/3 of the whole. Okay, so if you want to find the little from the whole, just divide it by 3. And the big equals 2/3 of the whole. So you divide it by 3 and multiply it by 2. And then don't forget also that the little equals half of the big. Okay, so a couple of things to remember. And that's all because of this centroid right here. Oh, by the way, the answer to this one is centroid, because each of these are it says these are midpoints. So D is a midpoint, B is a midpoint, F is a midpoint. So that would make those segments medians. So BE is a median, DC is a median, and AF is a median. So that therefore G is the centroid, the point where all your medians connect. And the median goes from a midpoint to a vertex. So point G is the centroid, and okay, over here we're saying AG is 10. So AG is the longer segment. So if we're looking for GF, which is the little guy, we know it's half of 10. Okay, the little one equals half of the big. So the big one's 10, half of that is the little guy, 5. Alright, next one, DG is 18. That's the little guy. So if I'm looking for the big guy, I know it's going to be double that. So little guy's 18, big guy's 36. And over here it says EB is 21. EB is the whole. So if the whole thing is 21, what is GB, the smaller one? Okay, well the little segment, GB, equals 1/3 of the whole, EB. So GB equals 1/3 of 21. So 1/3 of 21, 21 divided by 3 is 7. So that's 7, this is 14, even though it doesn't ask. So GB is 7. Alright, good stuff. Number 19, what do the following words mean? I hope everybody knows what they mean. I'm sure you guys do. Supplementary, we know means has a sum of 180. Complementary has a sum of 90. And congruent means, you could say, equal measure. Okay, I know you guys know those words. Alright, number 20, trying to find x, and we know that we have similar triangles, so we need to use corresponding sides. So let's go ahead and start with our x. So we would say that PU, side that has x, matches up with ST. So I could say x over ST 21. And I need another set of sides, so let's use QU here. QU matches up with RT. RT is 29, so we'll say QU 50 over RT 29. So make sure you're consistent. I started with this triangle on this ratio, so I also need to start with this triangle on the other ratio too. So let's cross multiply and solve it. We'll have 29x equals 50 times 21. There we go, beautiful. And now we'll divide by 29. And our answer should be around 36.2, somewhere around that.